Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today. As in this podcast episode, we're going to discuss the journey of Pluto through Aquarius, which began in 2023 and will last until 2044. And we're going to discuss the themes, energies, and what to be aware of in your own chart as you undergo this evolutionary transformation. Pluto is the energy of what is meant to be complete, that we experience through some type of ending, death. Something permanent is over in our soul's experience. And Pluto wants us to get into the nitty-gritty of what that energy was based on so that it can be transformed and then elevated. Pluto is the energy of very deep personal transformation in this lifetime, but it holds a frequency that connects to your soul's experience across multiple lifetimes, multiple timelines, and dimensions. So Pluto holds a lot of energy, and that's part of why it feels so intense, because it's working with you at very deep levels of your beingness. And when we have Pluto transits in our natal chart, a part of our reality, our energy, and our consciousness changes permanently. There's no going back with Pluto. In fact, you probably wouldn't want to, even if you could, which is not the case with Pluto. You can't go back. You can't go into anything that you've essentially outgrown. And at a soul level, there was a desire to outgrow it in this lifetime. So the Pluto energy brings up a lot within us that we are invited to look at. Sometimes it doesn't feel like an invitation. Sometimes it feels like it's just shoved right in your face and you're required to look at it front and center. But essentially, Pluto is asking you to look at your own unconsciousness, which can include your fears, what has been operating in your psyche, what parts of your experience and your reality you haven't fully looked at or gone into. And Pluto wants us to connect with more of our power. But first, we go on a journey of the powerlessness, as well as going into the fears, the doubts, the parts of ourselves we haven't fully met or claimed yet. And this is where some of the biggest areas of transformation occur. So Pluto transits are very significant as they shift and change us permanently, and they also connect us to more of our own innate power that perhaps we were out of touch with. Now, there are many books on Pluto, and I recommend reading these books if you are undergoing any kind of personal Pluto transit, as these books help you understand more of the themes, what is shifting, what is changing, as well as what is essential to look at, to grasp, to own, what you need to own in your energy as well. So some of the books I recommend include The Book of Pluto by Stephen Forrest, Healing the Soul by Mark Jones, Healing Pluto Problems by Donna Cunningham, and Pluto, The Evolutionary Journey of the Soul by Jeff Green. Now, there are other books on Pluto out there, so certainly trust what resonates with you and what looks interesting to you. But because Pluto is such a multi-layered topic of energy in astrology, I do feel like books are essential for experiencing these transits, or rather understanding more of what you're experiencing during a Pluto transit. Now, because every astrology sign is different from the one before and after it, it is also important to highlight how Pluto in Aquarius is going to move differently than Pluto in Capricorn did. Whereas Pluto in Capricorn is about structure, tradition, methodology, being responsible, going slow, taking your time. When Pluto is in Aquarius, the energy accelerates. It's fast moving, chaotic, disruptive. There's a sense even of things coming up instantaneously and needing your attention right away. That Aquarius energy pulses at a fast frequency. So there's a sense too that the change comes through quickly and brings in perhaps even sudden insights and understanding into what you are moving through, transforming and changing. Now, Aquarius is ruled by both Uranus and Saturn, whereas Capricorn is ruled only by Saturn. So with Pluto in Aquarius, that Uranian influence is very strong and influential. And this is also where Pluto in Aquarius energies want to connect you with more of your authenticity. There could be a need to be more of yourself, to break out of anything that you feel is taking away any of your power or diminishing your freedom. This could be where you're looking for more ways to go your own way, to understand what is uniquely you in this lifetime, and to effectively get rid of anything that does not resonate or is not in alignment with that authentic frequency. But it is a process. Now, Pluto transits last for a minimum of 18 months, but oftentimes they are 2 years or longer. And this is because of how slowly Pluto moves. It covers about 3, maybe 4 degrees in a calendar year, but the retrogrades also retrace those degree points. And so the Pluto energies move slowly to ensure that we're really digging in deep, that we're not missing anything, that we also have time to sit with something to understand what we are facing or looking at. And it does require, of course, your free will participation, meaning if you're working consciously with the evolutionary process of Pluto, then you're stepping into your free will power. You're acknowledging this is happening in my life. This is transforming me. I don't know where it's going, but I understand that at a soul level, it's what I signed up for in this lifetime. And that demonstrates a willingness and an openness to trust your own transformation process. Whereas sometimes with Pluto transits, there can be very powerful resistance. There can be a sense of, I'm not going to budge. I'm not going to change. This isn't something that I am signing up for, but Pluto does its work anyways. And this resistance actually creates more of a struggle, and it can create more intense energies that you have to navigate and deal with. So as always, it's up to you how you desire to move through these energies and what you're choosing with your own sovereignty. Part of the Pluto in Aquarius energy signature is really deeply connecting you to more of your own brilliance, your own wisdom. It's also opening us up to other dimensional energies and experiences where things are going to be left behind, where there's going to be parts of your experience that you elevate away from, but you also are looking at any of your soul fragments that have not been fully claimed. And I'm seeing this as a fragmentation of energy that Aquarius is about bringing systems together, bringing multiple pieces together to create a whole. But I'm seeing this Pluto in Aquarius as soul fragments from other lifetimes that could come through or pop up that you could meet, that could also be very unexpected and surprising. Perhaps even parts of your soul's journey that you pushed away, you didn't want to look at, you didn't want to claim. Well, Pluto in Aquarius is going to show you all the multiple facets of your energy and what do you want to claim, what is uniquely you, what supports your own energy in this lifetime even more. But oftentimes how this works with Pluto is that happens after the transit, meaning after you undergo a big life change or a shift in consciousness, after you're pulled into the depths of a fear or an energy, then you reemerge like the phoenix rising from the ashes to understand more of what is possible for you that is uniquely you. So the Pluto energy is very messy, intense, And at times it can feel overwhelming. So I'm going to talk about how Pluto in Aquarius is going to interact with planets or points in various astrological signs, starting with any planets or points you have in Aquarius. Now, this means that you are moving into a very important chapter in your life. Regardless of your age or where you're at in your journey, the Pluto transits are going to change something for you at a core level of energy. It's going to bring up changes that are essentially right on time from a soul's perspective, even if your ego, your mind, or parts of your perception didn't feel like you chose it or that you want it. Pluto in Aquarius is going to move through and change you very deeply. Now, oftentimes with Pluto transits, we can have this fear of anticipation. And we can see the energy coming and it can really stir up the pot. We can wonder, what's this going to be? How's this going to play out? What's going to happen to my life? What's going to change? It brings up a lot of things that are basically connected to the frequency of fear and powerlessness. Understanding that, okay, this is happening, ready or not. And so how do I move through this by maintaining my own power, remaining in my sovereignty, and knowing that at the higher levels, this is happening for my best and highest good in this lifetime, even though that Pluto transit is going to feel intense and shift something permanently in your experience. So it would be important to stay mindful of any anticipation energy that you're feeling, especially if you have planets or points in Aquarius or the fixed signs. And those are the energies I want to start with here, because the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. And these are the energies that want stability, consistency, routine. What can I rely on? What is going to be something that will always be there for me? And then along comes Pluto and throws all of that out the window and challenges your attachments. This is something to be aware of because Pluto in Aquarius is going to require you to let go of something. And so you can choose if you're going to do that rather gracefully or put up a fight to maintain it. But spoiler alert, the Pluto energy wins in the end because it's so significant and powerful. It is going to evolve something in some areas of your life, ready or not, and it's up to you to decide consciously how you welcome that change or if you resist it. So planets or points in the fixed signs are going to be undergoing some very powerful life changes. And again, this can have a fear associated with it, that fear of anticipation, that fear of, oh no, what's to come? And the change that will unfold and you don't know where it's going. And because those fixed signs want to know where things are going, they don't want to be blindsided, and they also don't want to release their grasp on something. There can be something here for you to really look at how you trust your own life path, how you trust your own evolutionary journey. Because if you are showing up with trust in the process, that is going to support you through these powerful years of change, and also help ground you into your power because you're choosing to trust. You're choosing to allow and go with this deep transformation, even if it feels scary at times, even if it brings up some really big monsters under the bed or things that you'd rather not look at. Pluto reminds you that you have the power within to look at these parts of yourself, to look at these parts of your experience, and to remain in your power as you do so. So Pluto is going to deeply work with those fixed signs, and it's going to be most intense for planets or points in Aquarius, which are going to transform you into more of your own unique self. And this is where you might feel that it's time for you to go your own way, if you've been stuck in a group, a tribe, a pack, if you've been doing anything out of obligation to others, Pluto in Aquarius is going to show you whether that's in alignment with your power or not. Pluto in Aquarius working with your natal planets in Aquarius are also going to have you tap into more of your own unique brilliance, your own frequency, your own talents, and also show you some new life paths or life directions that will resonate with you, but require you to leave a chapter of your life behind. And so the Pluto energy is going to come through and bring up something that you're meant to see about yourself, about your own energy. And I feel too, like with this Aquarius spark, because Aquarius energy is very creative, it's very spicy and interesting, and it likes to do things in a new way, in a different way. Pluto is going to show you where your personal energy needs to be more fortified in self so that you can be in more of your power in the world. Now, I'm talking in general terms here because it does depend on which planet you have in Aquarius. So if you have the sun in Aquarius, that's going to be a different experience than if you have Mars in Aquarius. So it's the energy of Aquarius that is being deeply deconstructed in order to be rebuilt. And this could mean too the ending of friendships, the ending of networks and people that you know, the ending of groups of people, the ending of a life dream that you're no longer interested in, where you thought, okay, this went as far as it can go, and now I'm being steered in a new direction. Pluto essentially kills something. It requires the energy to be complete so that the transformational process can begin. And this is where we have these big life changes because it can appear out of the blue. And then all of a sudden you're realizing, wow, that career is over. I thought it would last for a few more years. But no, if you know that you have a Pluto in Aquarius transit going on, something's coming to an end. Something is going to be over. And because it takes a minimum of 18 months to 2 years for the Pluto transit to unfold, these are not quick changes where there could be other things that come through or come up for you that will work for the short term. But essentially, you start to rebuild after Pluto has left that degree point. So let's say you have a planet or point at 2 degrees of Aquarius. Well, Pluto is going to be working with that energy for about 2 years. And it's not until Pluto moves on to 3 and 4 degrees that you're going to be able to really rebuild. And so this can help with your own expectations as well as planning purposes, because it takes time for Pluto to move away from a degree point in order for that degree point to basically settle and understand who it is now. How have I evolved? How am I different? What do I need now? So after Pluto moves on, then you start to understand what you need to create next in your reality. So it will be very intense for planets or points in Aquarius that you agreed to evolve. And because Aquarius is connected to the collective energy frequency, this is also something that pertains to what the collective needs now. And this relates to how humanity is evolving. So there's a lot here within the Pluto and Aquarius energies, but in this podcast, we are relating it most personally to your chart and to any planets or points that would be affected by this transit. Now, the second astrological sign that is going to be deeply changed by this Pluto in Aquarius is the opposite sign of Aquarius, which is Leo. And so any planets or points you have in Leo are going to have an opposition from Pluto in Aquarius. And this is essentially an ego death. This is where parts of your personal experience are going to be completing and over. And that Leo energy is about the solar plexus, your personal will, your creativity, how you self-identify and how you show up to be yourself in the world with your own sense of strength. And this is also where that Leo energy is about the self, whereas Aquarius is about many people. So you have an opposition from Pluto in Aquarius challenging that Leo sense of self and removing, killing. This is the ego death. This is where things outside of your control feel big and overwhelming, feel like you're not in your power, and that you're engaging in various power struggles in order to maintain something. But keep in mind, because Pluto in Aquarius is the bigger influence and the stronger power here, this is where that Leo energy is understanding that you can maintain your sense of self during these big transits, but it's going to look different. And this is also where, going back to the fixed signs can struggle with change unless they choose it, unless they readily agree to the evolutionary process. So there's going to be some choices to make here about what you are willing to allow, because it's going to happen anyways, what you're willing to say yes to, as well as understanding that this is meant to evolve you in order to create something new, because that Leo energy wants to create, wants to express itself, wants to be seen. There could be the energy here of not being seen. That could be removed. The Leo energies aren't getting what they want, aren't getting what they need. This can be part of the ego death, but this is also where there's something that brings you into more of your own creative power. And after the Pluto transit leaves, meaning after Pluto is done opposing a planet or point in Leo, then that new surge of light will emerge. But I feel it as Pluto in Aquarius is going to feel like it shuts down the sun, because the Leo energy is ruled by the sun. And so it could feel like dark days. It could feel like you're really in some dark tunnels and you don't know where the light is. And this Pluto opposition is asking you to tune into your inner light. That never goes out. That is always there. So what do you want to recreate next? What is going to give you life? Now keep in mind, you're not going to create traction while Pluto is opposing those planets or points in Leo. You're going to waste your time, energy, and everything else if you're trying to rebuild while that Pluto opposition is unfolding. Pluto is just going to crash that down again, and it could feel like a bunch of false starts. And this Pluto in Aquarius opposition is meant to expand the Leo energy outside of itself, to look at the bigger picture, to connect with a new life path, a new life vision, a new dream, and to basically broaden its horizons after the opposition has passed. Now, the other two fixed signs that are going to feel this energy most intensely will be planets or points in Taurus and planets and points in Scorpio. So let's talk about the Taurus energies here, because Taurus just had some beautiful supportive transformation when Pluto was in Capricorn. So Pluto in Capricorn was trining those Taurus energies, helping them step more into their values, their creation, their power, what they want in this reality. Now, Pluto in Aquarius is going to challenge those Taurus energies and ask you to do something different, and ask you to look at what you're overly attached to, because that could be challenged. The square aspect in astrology is a 90-degree angle that has tension built into it. There is a sense of things not being resolved, not knowing what to choose, feeling as if you're between a rock and a hard place. And here we have this Pluto in Aquarius that wants you to think bigger, expand your horizons, do something differently, create in a new way. And you could feel like that Taurus energy has a pushback. Sort of like, well, no, I got to where I am here and I don't want this to shift again. I don't want this to change again. But because Pluto is that evolutionary soul growth energy, it's going to happen ready or not. So this could be that it challenges your values, challenges your finances and your money, your stability. Now, I realize that the Taurus energies had the strength of Pluto and Capricorn, but Taurus has also had the disruptive Uranus in Taurus transit going on as well. And that started in 2018. So the Taurus energies have had to deal with change, have had to deal with things not being calm and steady and peaceful. And so this is a push from Pluto to step into more of what you can do in the world, more of what is possible, and to look at how you've been handling change as well as how you've been able to maintain your core strength regardless of the change, where you haven't lost track of yourself. Maybe you've understood more of your own strength even through these transits, but the square from Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring up more perceived disruptions, unexpected developments, and maybe even challenge you to stand strong in something until you realize it's futile, because Pluto will win. Pluto will dominate. So this is where the planets in Taurus need to be very conscious of what is essential and what is not, because there's things here that you're going to need to let go of. Now, the same is true for this Pluto in Aquarius squaring planets or points in Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. So the square from Pluto in Aquarius is about digging deeper into parts of your energy where you have a sense of control or power. Also looking at some of the darker underbelly expressions of Scorpio so that you can see how it affects other people, and also to look at how has this played out for me? How do I want to change this? What would be a new way to approach something? The Scorpio energy is emotional. It's a fixed water sign, and it holds a lot of energy. At times that Scorpio energy is like a very deep well that runs deep under the earth, and it's connected to many things that we're not always conscious of. But the square from Pluto in Aquarius is going to be direct, objective. It's going to ask you big questions and require you to face some things in yourself, especially where you're going for the long term, what resources you have that are going to be shifting as well, and to go deeper into knowing yourself. Because Scorpio is where we not only merge with others, we merge psychologically, emotionally, sexually, financially, but it's also looking at what are my desires? What is driving me? What is creating this in my life or that in my experience? And the Pluto square to planets in Scorpio are often a deep dive of something in yourself that no longer works for you. It's no longer bringing about the results you want. It no longer feels right. Maybe you sink into the lower Scorpio expressions of revenge, manipulation, vengeance. Anything can come up around betrayal and control games and things that are done in secret or in private. In fact, this Pluto square to Scorpio is going to reveal secrets, is going to reveal things that are connected to truth. So that is something to be aware of as Pluto in Aquarius squares any planets or points in Scorpio. Those secrets come out, the skeletons come out of the closet, truth is revealed, and then there are new places to go from there. So Pluto in Aquarius working with the fixed signs is where the most transformation will occur. It's also where you have choices to make around how you approach the transit, your own willingness, your own desire to be on board with the changes, as well as to know that you have the strength and power to face some fears, to face some deep truths that maybe you haven't looked at before. And that is something that Pluto wants you to embrace, wants you to understand that we are composed of all energies, light and dark, love and fear, that we are the light and we are the shadows. And the more you're able to dance and own all parts of yourself, then you're truly connected to more of who you are, especially in the human experience. because your soul knows who you are. Your soul knows who you are outside of the human experience. And Pluto wants you to go into some parts of your energy that can ultimately enhance who you are. I feel like Pluto in Aquarius is also going to support all of us into stepping into more independence, more of our sovereignty, more of our authenticity, and what we're here to do on the planet. This is the energy of starseeds and light workers who are here to elevate and change the planet permanently. And I feel like this Pluto in Aquarius is definitely going to help with those soul missions. Now, Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring about powerful transformations for planets or points in Gemini and Libra. These are the other two air signs, and Pluto in Aquarius will be trining any of those planets or points you have in your chart in Gemini or Libra, and bring about some new ideas, new information. It's going to powerfully enhance how you communicate, how you relate, what is on your mind, speaking your truth. This is where things are going to show you what you're here maybe to teach, to offer, to share, to communicate, because the air signs are parts of ourselves that need expression, that need to relate, and that want to have the best possible relationships. So I feel like this is a beautiful way to look at the relationships and people in your life who is on the same path as you, who is perhaps on the same trajectory. You have some shared ideals, hobbies, projects, whatever it might be. Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring new life to these energies. And so Gemini and Libra are going to be undergoing a transformation into some new parts of yourself. I feel this really working with the throat chakra as well as the crown chakra and the third eye chakra. So we're going to have new downloads coming in, new information, new messages, new ways of perceiving what's happening on the planet, new details, new facts, new information that could be shocking and stunning, but they are truthful. And that's something, again, that Pluto always has in its energy field, is what is the truth frequency here? What is something that you're meant to know and meant to say? I feel this as a strengthening of that throat chakra as well as the third eye expanding. I feel like the third eye is going to continue to evolve and open up, and it's part of how humanity is expanding in our energetic powers. So we're all going to have that to some degree, but the air signs are really going to be feeling it. And you're going to have new ways to communicate. I mean, this could even be something that evolves languages, that takes us into new places in our communication styles and what we say and what we think. Also, a lot of new information coming through. I'm feeling this as galactic and cosmic information, the bigger picture of humanity's existence on this planet, what has been kept hidden, what has been shrouded in secrecy will also be revealed and come out, and we're going to understand more about what has been unfolding on this planet since the beginning of time, potentially. So overall, Pluto in Aquarius is going to be beneficial for planets in Gemini and Libra, as they will be required to not only be reinvented, but to step into more of their power. This is a leveling up. This is a glow up. This is a step up. And so understand that this could be a beautiful gift. I also feel like those who have planets or points in Libra are going to really appreciate this transit from Pluto in Aquarius, because you just went through the Pluto in Capricorn squares to planets in Libra. And that was intense. Maybe that took apart relationships and parts of your world that you thought would last. Well, now Pluto in Aquarius is going to trine those planets in Libra. And this is going to bring in more of your soul family, your soul tribe, people who are on that frequency where it could just feel effortless, almost like, where have you been hiding? Where have you been all my life? Oh my goodness, we should be together, or we should be friends, or we just naturally have a beautiful synergy. It's that kind of flow that can open up, especially for those planets in Libra. And the other two astrology signs that will benefit and evolve in an easier way with Pluto in Aquarius will be any planets or points in Aries or Sagittarius, as these are the two fire signs that sextile Aquarius. And this is going to bring about new ideas, new levels of spiritual growth and creativity, new ways of knowing yourself in the world, new gifts opening up, also a glow up, also a powerful support from this Pluto in Aquarius that is going to infuse those fire signs with new life, new ideas, new dreams, new ways to go after something or to trust the next adventure. This is a power up energy as Pluto in Aquarius works with planets in Aries and Sagittarius and offers you new ways to use your energy. Perhaps things that you weren't ready for previously. In fact, this is absolutely the case with any planets in Aries, as you have just been through the Pluto in Capricorn squares. And so that was very trying and tumultuous for planets in Aries. Now the support from Pluto in Aquarius is going to help you go further and connect to that next level in your life. What's the next adventure, the next dream? Where do you want to go? This is infused with more growth, creativity, and optimism. And then when you look at how planets in Sagittarius have been undergoing huge experiences of trust, this is going to bring in some new direction or calling, a next calling of your soul for those planets in Sagittarius. Now, the planets in Sag have been working with and will continue to work with the planets in Pisces. So Neptune and Saturn are in Pisces for a few more years, and this is affecting that Sagittarius fire, those dreams, the ability to understand what you want. At least Pluto in Aquarius is going to give you a surge of direction, something that's a yes, something that lights you up and really gets your life force going again, where it could have been depleted, absolutely depleted through these transits from planets in Pisces. And so that will be a welcomed change by any planets in Aquarius that feel like, finally, this is what is calling to me. This has my name on it. This is what I want. And that Pluto in Aquarius energy is going to connect you to that knowingness and those insights. Now, I do need to note here that I've been focusing only on the Pluto in Aquarius energy, since that's what this topic is. But in astrology, there's so many other energies in play, right? Like you could still be going through a big Saturn transit or a Uranus transit or a Chiron transit. And that could be part of your experience as well, because you can have simultaneous experiences of transits that are affecting your life, your world, your energy. But keep in mind, because Pluto is the furthest from the sun and also the furthest from Earth, the Pluto transformation process is the strongest. It is the strongest and it's the slowest. And so there's something here about managing our energy through Pluto transits that's essential. Because there are days when you could just be lost in the fear. You could have a lot come up. It's very emotional. It's potentially scary. You're overwhelmed. You don't know what to do. You don't know what your choices are. Pluto brings you into even those depths of despair where you could feel like things are over. And what I would say to that is yes, in some ways they are over. And Pluto brings up, how do you let go? How do you let go of that previous version of yourself, that previous version of your life, that goal, that part of your world, that house, whatever it is? Pluto requires you to let go, and that also brings up grief. There is grief with Pluto transits. Let's just call it like it is, and let's have that be something that we work with consciously. Perhaps you're familiar with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief, which initially applied to death and dying, but applies to all areas of our life where things are over and ending. And it could be comforting on some level to visit those 5 stages of grief, to understand what they are so that you recognize them as you move through them. But also keep in mind that on the other side of Pluto transits, Pluto delivers. Pluto shows you more of who you are, and it's going to be a better fit. It's going to really strongly support who you're meant to be in this lifetime and how you're here to be more of yourself than ever before. If you've listened to this podcast for a while, perhaps you've heard me say that I've been undergoing Pluto transits for nearly 20 years, and it's connected with almost every part of my chart. And when I saw these transits coming in, I did have fear. And so I actually had a few astrological consultations with the late Noel Till, who was a master astrologer. He passed a few years ago. I studied with him as well. And I had sessions with him, especially when I saw that Pluto approaching my ascendant. And then it was going to move on and work with 11 planets and points in my chart. So yes, I've had Pluto transits times 12. Let me tell you, I've really been filling up my Dark Night of the Soul punch card. But I can tell you that every time after Pluto has interacted with a planet or point in my chart, something better has shown up. There has been what I call a Pluto promise for that regeneration that is truer for you. It's better for you. It's more empowering. And so on the other side of these transits, Pluto delivers, but you have to go through it. And that's part of not only the journey, but that's part of tapping into your power, your choices, and your light, and infusing those parts of yourself regardless of anything else. With Pluto transits, you have to look at your expectations and your attachments and basically throw those out the window. And you take it one day at a time, one feeling at a time, one experience at a time. It's also important for self-reflection because Pluto is going to have you look at how you've been using your energy. Is this working? What can be shifted here? How can you mature through this? How can you do it differently? Things don't stay the same with Pluto transits. So step into that, own that, understand that that's part of what you chose at a soul level. And that alone could be very empowering. And so maybe those would be questions to ask yourself. Why did I choose this Pluto transit in this lifetime? Or why did I choose to deeply transform this part of my energy in this lifetime? What does my soul want me to know? What does my soul want me to see? And also going back to what I mentioned earlier, I feel like there's parts of our soul's fragmented experiences that we're pulling in to understand and to empower, that we're understanding to know ourselves more. And I feel like Pluto in Aquarius is going to beautifully support our multidimensionality, support our ability to understand all of our talents and ideas and brilliance and energies. But it's only by going through the endings and destructions that no longer fit us that we see more of this truth. So I want this to ultimately be an empowering message for you, but I'm a realist and I know this is tough and I know these things are a big deal and I get it because of course I've been there for 20 years now, but I also know that it's worth it. And if you can perhaps invest in that and you can understand how you're traveling with your soul's brilliance, you're traveling with beautiful support from the universe, and if you can travel with greater trust in your journey, that alone can help go through these very big evolutionary changes. So I hope this has offered you some insights to work with, as well as some resources to look into to understand more of Pluto in your chart and what might be coming up for you, as well as the realistic understanding that Pluto transits take about 2 years to move through and to love yourself through them, accept yourself through them, work with a higher level of self-trust as well. So, as always, thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. You can find out more about my latest astrology programs and offerings at mollymccord.online. This is also where you can find more about your chart, as every astrology program and course I create is designed to connect you with more of your energy, understanding who you are in this lifetime, more about your energy signature, and also what is involved in your journey in this lifetime. Please check out my videos on YouTube, where you'll find in the playlists a ton of topics to help you learn more about your astrology chart, as well as the transiting energies that are happening at this time. I'll be back on Wednesday as we discuss the weekly energies, and I'll be back on Mondays to focus in on another specific astrology topic. Thank you so much for joining me. Wishing you a beautiful day ahead wherever you might be in the world, and I look forward to connecting with you again through our next astrology podcast. Take good care, and I'll see you back here soon.